as you can see, we've got the Lancia floor pans here made. As you can see, I've got the basic shape made out of them. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this die here and I'm gonna hammer on it just as you saw earlier. And that's gonna give my basic shape. I'll take it to the plenishing hammer and get this nice round contour into this. Now with these cars, obviously you can't buy most of the parts. These rear floor pans is a good example. So we have to make them. After they're nice in shape, all the way around, I'll take and integrate the beads right here along the center of it to give this floor some strength. We'll fit them in the car, mock them up, and make sure that they work. And one of the values of getting it on the plenishing hammer is that it hardens the steel. It makes it stronger and it prevents it from flexing. So we've got the beads integrated into the rear floor pans on this one. Now you can see that's going to strengthen this up quite a bit. We've still got some more metal shaping and forming to do before we actually install it. We've got some mocking up to do as well, and then we'll weld everything up. So this is just a rough stage. Now I've got the second floor pan here made up, and as you can see, I've got this all marked up where the beads are going to go, and these lines up here and down here are going to give me a good reference of where I need to start and stop, and these lines here are letting me know where the beads need to go. So just gonna stick this bead roller here. Alright, so we've got this rear floor pan. This is the passenger side one. Now we're going to compare them to the old ones. As you can see, they're pretty rusted out. Now the beads from the old ones are much wider than the ones that we have here, but it's not going to matter because it's going to be covered up with carpet. We just want to integrate the strength into this floor pan so it's not tin canning as you're driving down the road. And as you can see, that's pretty strong right there. So after this is all welded up, it's going to be secured down nicely, so you're not going to have this type of effect. Everything's going to be nice and flat, and it's going to give the car a lot of strength in the rear.
You've probably seen a few of the videos on this car and noticed the complexity of the build. This car is kind of a perfect example of any given shop's philosophy and how they approach things. In the paint world, if we were at a collision shop, most of the situation is a controlled environment, so you have the opportunity to have a strong understanding of what it's going to take to put a car back on the road. But in the restoration world, that is a constantly moving target that has a never-ending story to it. So there's typically two different ways that a project is taken on. It's typically taken on under either a considered price or under T&M. T&M is time and materials. It's rare that we will ever do a car under a bid concept saying basically this is what we're going to charge. Reason is because the car isn't coming here for a simple sanding and a respray. It comes here because it has a lot of rust issues or long-term damage that's been there that needs to be addressed. And because most of the parts for some of these cars are not obtainable, we have to either fabricate them or we have to source them, and you never know what the going rate is on something that isn't in the production line. We have no control on those pricing, so we can never really give an estimate. Even giving a ballpark figure can get you in trouble because you don't know what all the extenuating circumstances are. This car is a perfect example. More times than not, when we get a Zagato bodied car in, we kind of cringe at trying to give an idea what it's going to take, only because there's the damage, the collateral damage, the unknown damage, and what it's going to take to correct those things and what those costs are. This is a perfect example of that.
Here you can see these floor sills. When the car came in, the floor sills were compromised. I mean, they didn't even exist. The lower part of the floor sill was just completely rotted away. I mean, it wasn't even attached to the floor. So you have absolutely no idea. You have a sense of an idea how long it's going to take, but you actually don't know how long it's going to take to fabricate a piece to factory specs, trim it, put it in the car, mock it up, trim it some more, mock it up again multiple times. It's something that you keep having to fit, and then you can actually weld it back in.
So what Johnny's trying to explain is that though we can see obvious damage, like the piece he had to fabricate here, we don't know what it's connected to or what was there. Documentation on a lot of these cars don't exist. And some of the documentation is vague at best. So you have to replicate off of what you can see. You have to replicate off of what you can research and find. But obviously none of that can be tied into an estimate. So that's why if you're taking your car to a shop and your car just needs a simple respray of some sort, that's fine. Somebody should be able to give you a good estimate on that. But if your car has multiple issues, an estimate should be something that not only you but the person that is providing you that number should both be rather hesitant in accepting. I encourage you to approach this from a different philosophy than most of our customers have, and that is set aside what is a comfortable budget for you, whether it be a weekly, monthly, collective, whatever budget and how it works for you and for the shop that you're taking your car to. Work it from that angle, because if you go for something where you're adamant about getting an estimate, either you or the person providing the estimate are coming out on the losing end. There is no winner in this. Let me tell you what I mean by that, and Johnny can attest to this. If you bid a job, I'm not saying that this would ever happen here, but if you were to bid a job and you're starting to find there's more damage associated with the car than what you originally anticipated, and the customer is unwilling to bend on the estimate, you're going to end up cutting corners in order to make that bid. That's losing on both ends. The shop loses, it's risking its reputation. You lose because you're not getting what you expected. Whereas if both parties had a more mature approach in respects to saying, let's work on what is within your comfort zone as far as budget-wise, not total budget, but collectively what you can handle on a daily, weekly, monthly, whatever your setup is. That's more philosophically, that's a better way to go. The reason that's a better way to go is because they're able to do high quality work and they can stand behind their work. You're getting exactly what you want, and it also forces dialogue, meaning that everybody involved knows exactly what's being achieved when it's being achieved. So there's just something to think about. Anything else?
Well, if there's structural damage, such as this car, and you're already doing the repairs around it, you want to fix everything else that's wrong with it. Because if you're trying to do it cheap and quick, you're going to come into problems every single time, because
Safety issues.
that is, yeah, it's safe. You know, you want to be safe driving around in this car. This car is going to be bending side to side as you're taking corners, you know, speeding up, slowing down, braking. All that stuff is making the metal twist like this. So if the car isn't safe structurally, you're going to have some issues. It's very, very dangerous. And then the shop doing the work, if they don't do it correctly and fix all those things, now they're liable for it because they're the last ones to touch it.
Right. So ethics comes into place. I'm a firm believer that everybody involved in reconstructing a car has strong, emotions that they don't want anybody to ever get hurt in something that they did. But the reality is that if corners have to be cut to meet budget, everybody loses. So I would encourage everybody to consider how they want to approach a build. Really think about what is in the best interest of yourself, of course, as the owner of the car, but what you're going to get for your money. Okay, so you should always be getting lots of pictures. You should always be encouraged to have plenty of dialogue, because effectively when it comes time to deliver the car, it needs to meet your expectations, and nobody wants to redo something because of poor dialogue.